Shauna, hello, big hello and big hug to my former colleague and good friend and collaborator. Everybody, Shauna McIntyre is a wonderful person with an amazing resume. And now she is CEO of Sense Photonics, one of the best performing companies in the Fortune 250. Well, tell me a little bit about Sense Photonics.
Yeah, so what's it like at Sense Photonics? It's an exciting world. I mean, we are providing a new way for objects to see in the world around them. And it's decoupled from ambient light, so you don't need the sunlight to be able to see. And so this is, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or longer, when autonomous vehicles started really emerging on the scene, this was the enabler for them, was the ability to see. And then after, of course, that then feeds into the perception engine and the controls of the vehicle. But really, it starts with being these objects being able to see. And, a lot of companies were born at that point in time with, trying to solve this vision problem. Many are doing it mechanically and in complicated ways. And, I call on my mechanical background and realize, okay, automotive wants nothing to do with very complicated, expensive systems. And so we're solving it in a very different way with a basic semiconductor chip manufacturing type of process on the detector side. And then our laser that we emit out is done by an array. So it's very low light and just a very interesting, very wide field of view. So it's really fun. It's bringing everything together.
So who will your customers ultimately be?
We're serving on the automotive side, mainly the OEMs, but we're also building up partnerships on the tier one side as well to then deploy this product into the vehicle.
Let's turn to subject near and dear to your heart, future of automation, mobility. How does COVID affect your business today and the way you think about life going forward when I'm not even sure I want anybody in the car with me?
So here's the thing. I think what's really interesting is that the pandemic has actually propelled the need for a lot of automation, especially in the industrial world, because who wants to go grocery shopping anymore where you go aisle by aisle and you're in a mask and you're trying to stay 6 feet apart from the person. Oh, but by the way, can you go hand me the can of soup that's, we actually did a survey, a Harris Poll survey to understand the future of retail. And 70% of shoppers would rather shop online. And so there's a lot that's going to be moving online, even though there already was a lot of growth in e-commerce. This has been a catalyst to more. And so we're seeing the need more on the industrial automation side really building up. But the automotive side is not losing steam. There's been claims that, yes, autonomous vehicles may be pushed out. Maybe. But what's happening is there's a blend of the advanced driver assistance, ADAS, with then making it more autonomous-like, So there's more of that, hey, the vehicle will do more for you, even though you're the driver behind the wheel. There more and more can be done with advanced driver assistance. And so then that's supplying into today's vehicles through today's channels with today's price points. And so then the need for a cost-driven, low cost solution when it comes to enabling all this is really important. And so that actually helps us.
So let's go there. Good leadership. What between Egon Zehnder, Google and Sense Photonics and even the Lithia board, what have you learned about what good leadership looks like?
Yeah, I think number one is that they listen. I think that was something that I've seen a lot of in my career of leaders not listening. And to really listen to your people, listen to the market, listen to your customers, listen to your shareholders, your investors. I mean, you really need to understand and balance, where your vision is and where you want where you think the world can go, where your company can go, but really staying grounded on what you're hearing and what the reality is in front of you. And so I think that's key. And that then drives a leader to be much more closely aligned with their people. And to me, it's really about the team. I may be, the CEO and the face of to investors and to the outside world, but really it's my team that's executing and we are a unit. And so that's key.
Now, Lithia is an interesting example. They when I look at them, I'm like, okay, they sell cars. That's a pretty old-fashioned business. Tell me why are they now saying they're transportation solutions? What's happened there? Well, how are you all in the board helping them lead innovation?
This is an amazing story. I mean, they have all the ingredients to be a stodgy, old-fashioned company, and they're everything but, they basically knew that the world was going to be changing ahead of them. And essentially they knew that they needed to embrace this technology. They recognized that risk of inaction is greater than action. And so, they invested in Shift a while ago. And, then now Shift is off and doing a SPAC, and that's very exciting for them. And Lithia has realized, okay, there's a lot of learnings from that and a lot that we could do internally. And so they spooled up a team, and it starts with talent. I mean, Brian DeBoer, who's just a visionary leader. And then he brought in George Hines, who had scaled Massage Envy, and so Massage Envy to target really, but it worked really well. And it's really about getting your minds into the eyes of and the hearts of customers, right? And building out that understanding of, okay, we're not selling cars, we're actually giving customers an experience. And so what is that experience? And we need to be able to, keep those customers for life. And by doing that, we need to give them a good experience.
So what gets people more comfortable with automation in your mind, both in the warehouse where the workers are afraid the machines will hurt them, right, and ordinary people like me who want to know, when is this safe?
Yeah, I think what makes it comfortable is I think that we need to, the deployment of all these technologies needs to be done in a very controlled fashion, a very careful fashion, right? Yeah. Where, last mile delivery, we don't see little robots going all over our streets yet because they're testing them. They're making sure they're safe, that they're making sure that they're secure too. That's the other thing, is cybersecurity, right? You have to worry about all these connected devices and who's going to hack into them. So, the more controlled the environment, the higher the degree of automation can become possible. But when it comes to the open roads, in and around homes, these duty cycles and use cases are so many that it's very hard, and it's hard to control that environment. So those, I believe, are going to be some of the last to actually become automated, are those vehicles with people in them. I think there's a lot that can be automated before that in terms of safe autonomous routes during times of day, safe weather conditions, types of road conditions, et cetera. So.
Now, how do you hire people who are prepared to address that future?
Well, I'm lucky because I know from my time at Echo Center, honestly, I've overhauled my entire leadership team. I have 2 people out of 8 that were the original team members. The founder, who's our chief innovation officer, and our chief technology officer, who's one of the most brilliant people I've ever worked with. What do I look for in people? Right now, we're in such a dynamic world. I mean, 6 months ago, it was so different. And 6 months from now, it's going to be so different. So we need people who are just nimble and out there and can be vulnerable in the world, right? We can't control all the change going on. And so we just have to be ready for that adventure and, take it in stride and be very nimble with decision-making. So I look for people who, may have had that big company structure, because there's a structured way, a thought process by which people really build a capability in a big company, but they also need to have had that entrepreneurial experience to really understand that it's just a wild, crazy world out there, and welcome to our adventure. So, yeah. So
I'm wondering, the 6 people you hired for your senior leadership team, during COVID, did you actually get to meet them? We have a joke internally that these hires during COVID are called virgin births because there was no physical contact involved. How did you manage that? And how did the trust build to allow them to join up?
Yeah, they were my virgin births. I hired all of them virtually. I met them posthumously, right, in person, right? So I met them after the fact. The hiring part was fine. I think the part that I'm realizing now that is, in terms of that trust building, that's a whole nother level of trust in terms of multiple people coming together as a team. And so just last week, I brought people together. We were all wearing masks. We had the windows open. We were sitting 6 feet apart. And we came together in our lab, and our lab is a big wide open warehouse. So that worked well, to really talk about us as a leadership team and what's our vision for the company. What are the values we want, and start building that trust. You can't do that when you're a little thumbnail on a screen and you look like the Brady Bunch, right. You need that visceral kind of person to person. And it's, I tell my board that, they say, wow, you guys get along really well. It's amazing, that you've been able to do that. I'm like, and imagine, just wait for us until we can be together in person. Right, then the magic's going to happen. But yeah, the world is a bit, I feel like we're a bit on hold right now from real team building and trust, but we as a company are going that extra mile. And so we're going to start having our weekly team, our senior leadership team meetings in person to do that, to just build that real visceral trust.
Yeah, I think that the rest of the world in various places is moving more towards that. The US is a little behind.
Yes.
What has it been like for you being often the only woman in the room in technology?
Yeah, I guess it's a good sign when I forget that I am. There are times when I'm like, oh, I guess I am the only girl around here. Okay, well, that's great that it took me by surprise. But there were times when there were a lot of very opinionated and headstrong men who think they know the answer. And
no, we don't know any of those, do we?
No, of course not. Of course not. But that imposter syndrome, right? You do get it. Right. And you have to just kind of kick yourself in the pants, right? Like, come on, right? Why are you? And I found, why would I be so self-critical? And I found myself that as I was more self-critical, I was actually, those voices in my head were stopping me from actually voicing what I needed to voice. And then it curtailed my own performance. And so shame on me for doing that. It's up to me to recognize that those voices of self-criticism are the one that they're tearing me down. They're not tearing down the guy next to me, right? Because he doesn't have those voices in his head.
Thank you, Shauna. We'll just keep in touch, and thank you for spending time with Egon Zehnder and all of the people who visit our website.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I really appreciated my time at the firm, and really very pleasure to be back in touch. So look forward to more conversations.